the hidden crisis of underreported unemployment. Throughout history, underreported unemployment figures have often preceded economic downturns. This recurring pattern of concealing or downplaying joblessness has consistently led to market crashes and financial crises. Recent concerns about the accuracy of unemployment statistics, coupled with the predictive power of the Sahm Rule, highlight the importance of scrutinizing the data that shapes economic policies and public perception. This article delves into the historical parallels, examining how underreported unemployment has foreshadowed economic collapses and why it remains a critical issue today. Section 1. The Pattern of Concealment. Historical Overview. The underreporting of unemployment has long been a strategy used by governments and institutions to present a more stable economic outlook. Throughout history, there have been several key periods where this practice has led to disastrous consequences. The U.S. government initially downplayed the extent of unemployment during the early stages of the Great Depression. The U.S. government, eager to maintain public confidence, initially downplayed the severity of the economic downturn. However, as the crisis deepened, the true extent of unemployment became impossible to ignore, leading to widespread panic and a prolonged economic collapse. During the 1970s, stagflation emerged as a significant economic issue, characterized by both high inflation and high unemployment. During this period, the U.S. government struggled with accurately reporting unemployment figures, which led to a delayed response to the economic crisis. The lack of timely and accurate data exacerbated the situation, contributing to a decade of economic instability. From the late 1990s to the early 2000s, the dot-com bubble emerged as a time of rapid growth in the technology sector, which eventually led to a significant market downturn. The tech industry employed many workers part-time or on temporary contracts during this time, resulting in underreported unemployment figures. More accurate unemployment data could have mitigated the eventual burst of the bubble, resulting in significant job losses and a recession. The underreporting of unemployment significantly influenced the 2008 financial crisis. As housing prices soared and the economy appeared to be booming, the growing number of underemployed and discouraged workers went unnoticed. When the housing bubble burst, the sudden realization of widespread unemployment contributed to the severity of the crisis, leading to a global economic downturn. The COVID-19 pandemic underscored the challenges of precisely reporting unemployment in a rapidly shifting economic landscape. Governments around the world struggled to keep pace with the sudden spike in unemployment, leading to discrepancies in official figures. The underreporting of job losses and underemployment during the pandemic has had lasting effects on economic recovery efforts. These examples show a recurring pattern of underreporting unemployment figures during periods of economic stress. Repeatedly failing to accurately capture the true state of the labor market has led to delayed policy responses and worsened economic downturns. Government and media narratives. Governments and media outlets have often played a role in shaping the public perception of unemployment. By presenting overly optimistic views of the economy, they have created a false sense of security that delays critical reactions from the public, investors, and policymakers. Media influence. Media outlets have a significant impact on public perception of economic conditions. During periods of underreported unemployment, media narratives often focus on positive economic indicators, such as stock market performance or GDP growth, while downplaying or ignoring rising joblessness. This selective reporting can create a misleading picture of economic stability, contributing to a delayed recognition of the true state of the economy. Government messaging. Governments, motivated by a desire to maintain public confidence and avoid market panic, often emphasize the positive aspects of the economy while downplaying negative indicators such as rising unemployment. This approach can backfire when the true extent of economic problems becomes apparent, leading to a sudden loss of confidence and a market downturn. For example, in the lead-up to the 2008 financial crisis, the U.S. government downplayed the risks associated with the housing market and rising unemployment, contributing to the severity of the crisis when it finally hit. Government messaging and media influence can combine to create a dangerous feedback loop. where positive narratives reinforce underreported unemployment figures and obscure the true state of the economy. This delayed recognition of economic problems can lead to more severe and prolonged downturns when the reality of the situation becomes undeniable. Impact on public perception. The underreporting of unemployment figures contributes to a delayed recognition of economic problems. When investors and the public finally acknowledge the true extent of unemployment, they often scramble to adjust to the reality of the situation, resulting in a market crash. This delay can exacerbate the severity of economic downturns, leading to more profound and prolonged crises. False sense of security. When unemployment figures are underreported, the public and investors may believe that the economy is stronger than it actually is. This false sense of security can lead to overinvestment in risky assets, as investors seek to capitalize on perceived economic growth. When the true state of the economy is revealed, investors can quickly lose value in these investments, leading to market volatility and financial instability. Delayed policy response. Accurate unemployment data is essential for informing economic policy decisions. When unemployment is underreported, policymakers may be slow to respond to rising joblessness, delaying the implementation of necessary measures such as stimulus packages or interest rate cuts. This delay can allow economic problems to worsen, leading to a more severe and prolonged downturn. Section 2. Unemployment as a precursor to economic collapse. The Sahm Rule. The Sahm Rule, developed by economist Claudia Sahm, serves as an early warning system for recessions. It states that when the 3-month average unemployment rate rises by half a percentage point or more relative to its low during the previous 12 months, the economy is likely entering a recession. The Sahm Rule has proven to be a reliable indicator, accurately predicting downturns such as the Great Recession of 2008 and the economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic, and just recently triggered. Historical accuracy. The Sahm Rule has showed its predictive power in several key periods of economic downturn. For example, in the lead-up to the 2008 financial crisis, the unemployment rate rose in early 2007, triggering the Sahm Rule several months before the official start of the recession. This early warning could have prompted policymakers to take preemptive action to mitigate the impact of the crisis, but the underreporting of unemployment figures delayed the recognition of the problem. Significance for investors. The Sahm Rule is a valuable tool for investors, as it provides an early signal of potential market downturns. By monitoring changes in the unemployment rate, investors can adjust their portfolios to reduce exposure to riskier assets and protect their investments from potential losses. However, if unemployment figures are underreported, the Sahm Rule may not trigger in time to provide adequate warning, leaving investors vulnerable to sudden market crashes. Correlation with market downturns. Historical data show a strong correlation between rising unemployment and subsequent market crashes. For example, in the months leading up to the 2008 financial crisis, the official unemployment rate remained low, but underemployment and discouraged workers were on the rise. This underreporting contributed to a false sense of economic stability, which was shattered when the housing bubble burst, leading to a global financial crisis. Graphical representation graphs and data clearly illustrate this correlation, showing how unemployment rates often rise well before the market responds. Investors often panic and exacerbate the downturn once they acknowledge the delayed recognition of unemployment data. For example, a graph comparing the unemployment rate and stock market performance during the 2008 financial crisis shows that the unemployment rate rose several months before the stock market experienced significant losses, sector-specific impact. The financial sector is vulnerable during periods of rising unemployment. Banks and financial institutions, which rely on consumer confidence and spending, are often the first to feel the impact of a market downturn. If unemployment is underreported, these institutions may continue to extend credit and make risky investments based on inaccurate data, which can lead to more significant losses when the true economic conditions are revealed. Section 3. The consequences of ignoring unemployment data. Case studies. The consequences of ignoring or downplaying unemployment data are clear in several historical case studies. Policymakers responded with a delay to the Great Depression because of the gross underestimation of initial unemployment figures, worsening the economic collapse. Similarly, policymakers and investors were caught off guard when the housing market collapsed in the years leading up to the 2008 financial crisis. This was because unemployment figures were underreported, resulting in widespread job losses, business closures, and market panic. During the Great Depression in the early 1930s, the U.S. government faced challenges in accurately reporting unemployment data, resulting in a delayed response to the economic crisis. By the time the Great Depression worsened, unemployment had soared to unprecedented levels, leading to widespread poverty and social unrest. The delayed recognition of the true unemployment situation contributed to the severity of the economic downturn and prolonged the recovery process, as noted by Romer in 2009. The 2008 financial crisis had similar outcomes because of the underreporting of unemployment. As housing prices began to decline and mortgage defaults increased, policymakers largely ignored the growing number of underemployed and discouraged workers. When the full extent of the unemployment crisis became apparent, it triggered a wave of foreclosures, bank failures, and a global recession that took years to recover from. As Blinder pointed out in 2013, the COVID-19 pandemic created a one-of-a-kind obstacle in accurately reporting unemployment. The sudden and severe economic disruptions caused by the pandemic led to a rapid increase in job losses, many of which were initially classified as temporary furloughs. However, as the pandemic persisted, many of these job losses became permanent, leading to a significant underreporting of unemployment. This delayed recognition of the true economic impact of the pandemic contributed to the prolonged economic recovery and highlighted the importance of accurate unemployment reporting in times of crisis, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis in 2020. Policy failures during these periods often stemmed from a reluctance to acknowledge rising unemployment. Governments focused on maintaining public confidence, sometimes at the expense of addressing the underlying economic issues. Many times this resulted in delayed or inadequate policy responses, which worsened the economic downturns. During the Great Depression, the U.S. government's initial response was to focus on balancing the budget and maintaining the gold standard, rather than addressing the rising unemployment and economic collapse. This reluctance to implement expansionary fiscal policies delayed the recovery and exacerbated the severity of the Depression, Romer, 2009. Critics similarly criticized the response to the 2008 financial crisis for being too slow and too focused on propping up failing financial institutions, rather than addressing the root causes of the crisis, such as rising unemployment and a collapsing housing market. The initial bailout programs were seen as insufficient to address the scale of the crisis, leading to a prolonged recession and a slow recovery, Blinder, 2013. The policy response to the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the challenges of addressing an unprecedented economic crisis. While governments around the world implemented massive stimulus programs to support businesses and workers, the underreporting of unemployment and the delayed recognition of the pandemic's long-term economic impact led to ongoing economic uncertainty and an uneven recovery. Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, 2020. Section 4, Lessons for the Present. Today, concerns about underreported unemployment remain relevant as the global economy continues to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. While official unemployment figures may appear stable, the reality may be far more precarious, with underemployment and discouraged workers potentially masking the true extent of economic instability. This hidden unemployment could set the stage for another economic crisis if not addressed proactively. Potential crisis. As the global economy faces ongoing challenges, including supply chain disruptions, inflationary pressures, and geopolitical tensions, the risk of underreporting unemployment remains a significant concern. If policymakers and investors are not vigilant in monitoring the true state of the labor market, the economy could be vulnerable to another sudden downturn, similar to those seen in the past, Michigan, 2021. The role of data transparency. Accurate and transparent unemployment data is essential for making informed policy decisions and preventing economic crises. Governments and institutions must prioritize the collection and reporting of comprehensive labor market data, including underemployment and discouraged workers, to provide an accurate picture of the economy's health. Yellen, 2023. Policymakers, economists, and the public must demand greater transparency in unemployment reporting. Accurate data is essential for making informed decisions and preventing economic crises. By recognizing the patterns of the past and applying those lessons to the present, we can avoid the mistakes that have led to catastrophic economic consequences in the past. Vigilance, transparency, and proactive measures are crucial in ensuring that underreported unemployment does not trigger the next market collapse. Policy recommendations. Governments should implement policies that require the regular reporting of comprehensive unemployment data, including underemployment and discouraged workers. Policymakers should address rising unemployment, rather than waiting for official figures to reach critical levels. Blinder, 2013. Public awareness. The public and investors must also know the potential risks associated with underreported unemployment. By critically evaluating the information they receive and pushing for more accurate and comprehensive economic reporting, they can help prevent the next economic crisis. Krugman, 2009. The hidden crisis of underreported unemployment has repeatedly foreshadowed economic downturns throughout history. By ignoring or downplaying the true extent of joblessness, governments and policymakers risk creating a false sense of security that can lead to catastrophic consequences. Governments and policymakers risk creating a false sense of security and potentially causing catastrophic consequences by ignoring or downplaying the true extent of joblessness, underestimating the importance of accurate unemployment data. This data is critical in preventing economic crises and ensuring market stability. As we face the challenges of the current economic climate, it is essential to learn from the past and prioritize transparency and accuracy in unemployment reporting. By doing so, we can better prepare for the future, mitigate the risks of economic downturns, and ensure that the global economy remains stable and resilient in the face of uncertainty. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell